Let's do that and type it in here as well. There we go. All right, so welcome again to another educational class. Your host, the Mad Composer, moi. We're going to talk about Nervos today. Nervos is a coin that I've been mining for a while now. It's got a lot of really great potential. I think Nervos is still one of those coins that hasn't really realized its full potential in the market in terms of, price and, movement. But it's got so much going for it. So I want to talk about that. We had a lot of people tell me that this was a coin that they were interested in learning more about. I feel very strongly that a lot of people who mine Nervos don't necessarily understand what Nervos is doing, or they partially understand what Nervos is doing. I think one of the things about Nervos that's very appealing to miners is that people understand that Nervos is very dedicated to proof of work, and they're not switching up their game to go for proof of stake like Ethereum did, which is a big controversy, right? I think a lot of us recognize that. So Nervos actually kind of made a name for itself as in revolt against that. So it's a good coin to understand, and it's part of our mining portfolio. So let's kind of dive in a little bit more into that, because the more we know, right, the better we can educate other people as well. So this is all information from Nervos, right? So I just wanted to organize this here for you guys, just to be very transparent about that. But let's read it, right? So Nervos is a blockchain performed and designed to address the limitations of existing blockchain networks. Nervos aims to provide a secure, scalable, and sustainable infrastructure for decentralized apps and digital assets. And Nervos' unique layered architecture consists of 2 layers. So this is common, very common with a lot of different blockchains, right? Even Ethereum is for sure one of these kinds of things where you have a layer 1 and then you have a bunch of layer 2s. And there are different styles of layer 2s, and I'll get into those in this presentation. I think it's important to understand and differentiate against those. But Nervos is the actual layer, right? So it's CKB. That's the coin. That's the ticker that we use. It actually stands for Common Knowledge Base, and it's the base layer that handles the security integrity of the entire network. Okay, that's really its only job. CKB is just to be mostly a security layer. Layer 2 is where we actually build the dApps. So you'll have heard probably something like Axon or Godwoken if you're into Nervos' ecosystem. These are all layer 2s that operate on top of layer 1. So it's a modular or multi-layered blockchain that utilizes several scaling solutions to achieve high throughput. So Nervos leverages a proprietary sidechain solution called Axon that allows developers to launch their own high throughput, interoperable, and secure sidechains on CKB. It's kind of like their sort of developer package, if you want to call it that. So, key features of Nervos' CKB Layer 1. Security provides a unique store of assets, store of identity, model, ensuring secure storage and transfer of digital assets. Then you've got this proof of work, right? It relies on the consensus, similar to Bitcoin, to validate transactions and secure that network. And then we have this thing that's unique to Nervos. They call this the cell model, which introduces a state model called cells to manage and represent digital assets, providing more flexibility and composability. So we'll dive into what the cell model is in this presentation. Let's go and see what a general overview of Layer 2 looks like. So they provide scalability and performance improvements for dApps in the Layer 2. And Nervos supports various different types of Layer 2s like rollups, sidechains, and state channels. And they allow for faster transaction processing, lower fees, and an improved user experience. These consist of rollups, which bundle up transaction data. They transfer it off the Layer 1 main chain. Then, when they execute, it's performed on Layer 2, while assets are still held in an on-chain smart contract. Sidechains, on the other hand, are independent chains. They're kind of working in parallel. Side chains try to enhance the efficiency, speed, and boost the mainnet security. I would look at something like the Lightning Network as sort of like a side chain if you think about Bitcoin. Okay. State channels allow a group of participants to perform unlimited private transactions off-chain. The channel participants can only observe these transactions and are not public. Only the initial and final state of the transaction is recorded in the main blockchain. This is actually a bit of both, right? So you have the Lightning Network, right? And then you would have also this state channel attributed to that, so that, you know, you have this IOU. If anybody's familiar with Lightning, it's sort of like an IOU kind of consensus where you decide, okay, how much of, if I'm at a bar, right, and I want to, you know, get some drinks using Bitcoin, I would be basically, you know, saying, okay, I'm buying this drink. This is how much I would owe you at the end of my transaction. Once we're finished with our, exchange, then it gets on the blockchain and all of that is resolved. So Nervos can operate very similarly in this case on its own proprietary network. Any questions so far? Feeling all right? Where are we? We're still like following me here? Okay, great. Okay, I wanna make sure that we're all on the same page. If you find that I'm getting a little too deep on something and need me to backtrack, please let me know. There's a lot of information here. Okay, let's talk about CK bytes. Okay, common knowledge bytes. So that's the native token. CKB is used as a medium of exchange, a store of value, and a means to participate in governance. So there are economic incentives and staking opportunities available to CKB holders, and it ensures the miners are paid for providing security and perpetuity, while token holders are protected from inflation. So this is actually something that is kind of unique with Nervos, where you could actually mine Nervos, and because as you mine, that creates more CKB in circulation, there's an inflationary cost to that. So in order to counteract that, you can actually take your Nervos that you've been mining and actually stake it to earn more Nervos from that, and that will help to sort of offset the inflation of just what you're mining, which is very, very, very cool. So it's got also beyond the side chains from Axon, CKB can also support all layer 2 scaling solutions like rollups and state channels. While state channels are in the works, an optimistic rollup called Godwoken has already been launched. So this is very, very good. We're very excited to see Nervos tap into the Ethereum sort of virtual machine here. And if you don't know what the Ethereum virtual machine is, it's basically a way for other dApps and other types of blockchains to also communicate with Ethereum. And that obviously, because Ethereum is the biggest marketplace for a lot of NFTs and layer 2 solutions, this is a very, very big deal for Nervos to be able to have some cross-pollination from Ethereum into Nervos in a very, very native way. So this is great. So use cases and partnerships that they've created. So some things that we can see with Nervos are decentralized finance, or DeFi. Right? We can enable secure and transparent financial applications, lending, borrowing, decentralized exchanges. We've seen this with a lot of different blockchains. Digital assets. Nervos provides a robust infrastructure for issuing, transferring, and managing digital assets and NFTs. And supply chain management. It can be used to track and verify provenance of goods, enhancing transparency, trust in supply chain process. This is also something that I see some other types of cryptocurrencies try to attribute. I think one that's notable in this space is VeChain. But, mining Nervos, I'm sure this is a big sort of focus that they have as they want to get into the supply chain management business. Partnerships include Grin, Chainlink, Band Protocol, Cardano. There's a lot of different interoperability between these, and that's kind of been one of their also biggest focus points for their blockchain. Let's talk about their ethos. So this is directly from them as a quote. Today, more than ever, our ethos and approach to building blockchains appear fundamentally different, with the key differentiator being our significantly lower time preference. We're unapologetically sticking to crypto's original goal of creating a robust, open, accessible, and permissionless financial system. And the only way to get there is by foregoing some of the needs of the present and focusing on the needs of the future. So, while much more work remains to be done, we're among the few on the right track. By lowering our time preference, we were able to get the fundamentals right and create the ideal future-proof base layer for a modular blockchain network. Now it's time to build on top. So this has been something that why I say Nervos has been very sort of undervalued for a long time. Because Nervos kind of was doing the boring stuff first, which is hard, right? Because, you know, a lot of people, and I think about other kinds of blockchains, Cardano's one of them, that are also undervalued. They are slow to build, but they're building pretty well, you know, and they're trying to build it right. So I understand that. A lot of other different types of blockchains, Binance is one of them that calls to me for this kind of situation where they try to ride the wave of hype in many ways. And, you know, they're functional in many different cases too, but they're not decentralized. Let's not get ourselves, you know, fooled here. Binance Smart Chain is not very decentralized at all. But you have something like Nervos, which wanted to build infrastructure first, right? We wanted to build the fundamentals of, can we create a proof of work system that is ultimately scalable? And this is their kind of way of doing that, building this modular sort of blockchain rather than a monolithic blockchain. And monolithic blockchains are just kind of, you know, one giant pillar type blockchains like Bitcoin, right? It's this is what it is and this is all it can be, right? It's not something that can be modular, changed over time. So this is what they believe in. And this is one of the reasons why I think Nervos took a while to get where it is right now. It's been building for years at this point. So let's take a look at the blockchain trilemma, because this is one of the reasons why Nervos did what they did. So executing transactions is part of what we have to do in the blockchain, right? How nodes process pending transactions. And it occurs in a so-called execution environment, which typically includes a virtual computer like EVM, Ethereum Virtual Machine, or Nervos' CKB Virtual Machine. Guaranteeing data availability means making all transaction-related data available to all nodes in the blockchain network. Very crucial, because it allows all network participants to independently verify transactions and compute the blockchain state without needing to trust each other, and achieving consensus on the true state of the blockchain, which is necessary because blockchains fundamentally represent widely distributed databases that must be synced, independently verified, and trusted by all database holders. And if it doesn't do that, then it's useless. Okay, that's what blockchain's entire purpose is so to be. So these are the three main tasks. Now let's see the problem, right? Because all blockchains have to make architectural trade-offs when designed and accept sacrifices on one front for gains on the other. So, for example, high-throughput blockchains like Solana or Binance Smart Chain optimized for scalability, but make sacrifices in decentralization. That is not okay. And considering how tied decentralization is to security, one can argue that they make considerable sacrifices there too. So, on the other hand, first-generation blockchains like Bitcoin are incredibly secure and decentralized, but they lack sufficient scalability, meaning they can only process a small number of transactions per unit of time. So realizing very early on that the only way to scale to global ubiquity without sacrificing security and decentralization would be through a layered architecture. Nervos was designed from the ground up as a modular blockchain network rather than a monolithic one. And this is a significant difference from other types of coins, right? Another one that tries to seek a different way of doing this is something like Cadena. We'll talk about Cadena in about 2 weeks' time. Okay, and next week I got feedback from talking about Bitcoin. Unless you guys want to talk about that sooner, you guys let me know. But the idea of building a blockchain that has a multi-layered approach from the get-go was already decided very early on. Blockchains don't have to be tied to one layer. They can be multiple layered blockchains and have this flexibility. Think of other ones. I can think of like Polkadot. Polkadot is, they consider themselves a layer 0, where they relay information between different blockchains. Very interesting idea too. We can talk about that if people are interested. This is the blockchain trilemma, right? Scalability, decentralization, and speed, right? Figuring out how to achieve all three. People say that's the golden ticket, right? Any questions so far? We're all good to go? Excellent. All right, so in the proof of work consensus model, miners must acquire specialized hardware and expend vast amounts of electricity to participate in block production. And so if they're honest and follow the protocol's rules, they're rewarded with newly minted cryptocurrency, which is what we call the carrot that incentivizes them to validate transactions and secure this network. Now, if they don't follow the rules, they're left with hefty electricity bills and no rewards, which serves as the stick disincentivizing them to cheat and disrupt the network. Now, on the other hand, proof of stake mechanisms leverage the same logic but implemented differently, leading to different results. Instead of expending an exogenous resource like electricity in proof of work's case, proof of stake validators stake and risk losing the same cryptocurrencies they receive as rewards for validating transactions, leading to a circular security dependency where the protocols are secured by the same assets they produce. You can kind of see how that's a little bit backwards, right? So in this case, right, you're entirely dependent on somebody who's validating transactions consistently. And in this case, if you are a delegator, right, you're more likely to choose a validator who's constantly making transactions, right, or validating the blocks, which inherently creates a centralized problem, right? That's one of the biggest things about proof of stake is, right, there's usually somebody or, a couple people who have a very, very consistent report on validating blockchains. People don't want to lose their money, right? Because delegators tend to lose their money if somebody misses out on those blocks too, right? So rather than relying on, okay, using the cryptocurrency as the incentive itself, what is also punished for, they're saying, okay, well, you don't lose out on cryptocurrencies when you mine CKB, okay? You just lose out on your electricity bill, all right? That's it. Okay, that's a way to offset this problem, and that's one of the reasons why proof of work is still around. Okay, that's why it's so secure. People have to always pay their electricity bill, right? But they're not losing their cryptocurrencies for blockchain validation mishaps. Okay, so this is something that I kind of opened my eyes to it when I was reading about it as well. It's like, okay, one of the big problems about proof of stake. Something to note. So Nervos is one of the most flexible interoperable blockchains that we have in the space, and because it supports all current and future cryptographic primitives like CKB, can serve as a robust foundation that lends security to a diverse set of layer 2 networks that leverage different consensus mechanisms, programming languages, execution environments, and a data availability storage methods. It could also serve as a central hub or a cross-chain bridge, allowing various heterogeneous blockchains to communicate. This unprecedented level of flexibility and interoperability is made possible by Nervos' unique accounting model and the RISC-V instruction set based virtual machine. So that's the coding language that they use, is RISC. This is one of the most appealing parts about Nervos. Honestly, is that it becomes this central hub or a cross-chain bridge. People have actually honestly known Nervos more for its interoperability than most of the other things that I even mentioned before. So one of the things that I want you to keep in mind moving forward is why Nervos has a lot of potential is because of this part of it. Okay, cross-chain bridge compatibility is very important for the future of this space. Any questions? Are we still following so far before I continue on the UTXO versus accounting models? Okay. I promise we'll do a quick summary at the end. The two most popular accounting or bookkeeping models in which blockchains record state are what we call the UTXO model, the unspent transaction output. This is the thing that was pioneered by Bitcoin. And then we have the account model pioneered by Ethereum. The best way how I understand this is to be cash versus bank account. Okay. Bitcoin operates more like cash in this case, where Ethereum kind of operates more like the bank account. So if we think about it that way, each UTXO unspent transaction output is like a unique paper bill that users can spend only once. So each user in a UTXO based blockchain keeps track of their balances by adding up their unique paper bills. Okay, it's adding up their cash. And accounts in the account model work more like bank accounts, where the money transfers are recorded as debits and credits on different users' accounts on the bank's ledger. That's kind of the idea. So from a functional perspective, both bookkeeping models have their own benefits and drawbacks. And the account model is stateful, which is easier to develop on, but is less scalable. And on the other hand, the UTXO model is stateless, but supports parallel transaction processing, which grants greater scalability. So let's look a bit even deeper into that, because the cell model is derived from both of these in a sense. So this is Nervos' unique way of doing that. So it leverages the best of the two worlds. It combines the programmability of the account model with the scalability and flexibility of the UTXO model. So in simple terms, a cell model is more generalized or abstract accounting model that instills fewer limits on the system and application for contract developers. And while this paradigm shift admittedly does place an additional burden on developers to build friendly abstractions, often imposed by other chains, right? That's how they would have to sort of create interoperability. The gains in security, flexibility, and interoperability greatly outweigh any arbitrary losses in accessibility. So the cell model perfectly complements Nervos' modular design because it allows the CKB base layer to evolve without requiring disruptive hard forks. That is huge. So almost all algorithms, cryptographic primitives, and data structures can be implemented on CKB as scripts stored within cells, instead of being hard-coded or baked into the virtual machine like in all other blockchains, making Nervos future-proof. That's amazing. So the idea, okay, is that this cell model stores all the information, right? You have still the fundamental information that is part of the blockchain, and if you want to add to that, you create a set of instructions that are formed in one of these cells. And so the blockchain then talks with the cells give instruction on how to operate onto the other side. And so then that's how we get these things where we can create cross-chain bridges. Okay. Do we understand? Is that a good analogy for people, or do we need a little bit more discussion on this? Any questions? Give people a second here. Okay. Okay, so yeah, this is the idea. This is where the modular element comes from. Okay, so the cell model is the key to this modularity. Scalability. Okay, so proof of work consensus mechanism gives CKB unrivaled security, whereas the RISC based virtual machine is the necessary scalability stability and flexibility to interoperate with different types of blockchains and layer 2 networks easily. So, appropriately, layer 2 protocols can leverage CKB security to provide the Nervos network with unbounded scalability or throughput with minimal transaction fees. So again, everything really happens on the layer 2. Layer 1 is just there for security. It's all of that information is kept running and not sort of hacked because of that layer 1. Okay, that's very, very important. Nervos is the only blockchain that supports all cryptographic primitives, meaning it can verify the fraud proofs generated by virtually all types of layer 2 solutions. And in less technical terms, the CKB is like a multilingual individual in an environment exclusively populated by monolingual individuals that can speak or understand only one language. Okay, that's a great analogy here, where we just see that Nervos is able to sort of be the Rosetta Stone for a lot of things. Okay, because Risk is very, very flexible. That was one of the reasons why they use that. It's able to create stuff like these cell models where people put in their code from their Ethereum virtual machine or something else, right? That goes into the cell. That information is then interpreted by Risk for something else, right? Because Risk, which is the cell, the CKB, okay, that information can talk to another CKB, right? So if we're talking about, let's say, two blockchains like Cardano and Ergo, people have been talking about a marriage between these for a long time. Well, you can use Cardano, go into a CK byte, that Risk V information will translate to another Risk V cell, which will translate that into Ergo. Okay, makes sense? So that's what we're talking about when we talk about this cross-chain. That's how it's working. Very, very cool. And in practice, that means CKB can inherently or without any complex modifications understand the languages of all other networks and be a central translator hub for them. So, for example, developers can build EVM, Move, or CosmWasm based rollups, leveraging different consensus mechanisms on top of CKB without issues. So, additionally, CKB could serve as a cross-chain bridge, allowing all UTXO-based blockchains, including Cardano, Ergo, Fuel, etc., to interoperate with each other. Institutions can also leverage CKB's flexibility and security to build their own permissioned and compliant layer 2 networks on top of it. So that's why, when we talked about a little bit of Godwoken is their Ethereum rollup in a sense. That is a very important aspect to why now you can see Nervos is very, 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 it's looking very tasty for us, okay? So, tokenomics. Any questions up until now about what I just previously stated? Or anybody have any opinions? How about that? Maybe not a question, but maybe they have thoughts so far of what they think. Yes, for sure. SSJ Rio just says, just getting my mind blown. Okay. Hopefully in a good way. Please let me know. There is a lot of information here, but it's also very, very cool information. This is one of the reasons why I've been mining Nervos for a long time. Why don't we run staking pools too? Well, the thing is, staking pools aren't like how we see with other types of blockchains. Staking with Nervos is as simple as just only with your own wallet. You literally only stake with your own wallet. Stakers are not actually earning based on blockchain validations, okay? They are already earning based upon what's already being mined, okay? So it's a portion that CKB, or we'll say Nervos is allocating a portion of mine rewards towards stakeholders, okay? The purpose of staking is only to counteract the inflation from mining. So it's only per wallet, which is actually unique, right? You're not actually delegating your crypto to anybody, which is very good. So you are your own sovereign staker. So hopefully that answers your question. Tokenomics. So let's talk a little bit more about this here too. Employs an innovative tokenomic model designed for long-term sustainability that is independent of transaction demand and has sound value capture properties for all stakeholders. So it solves the incentive misalignment issue prevalent in other blockchains by combining two token supply sources, the base and secondary issuance with an inflation shelter. And this is what I'm talking about when I say you have the mining rewards and the staking rewards. Okay, you have basically the base, which is mining, and the secondary, which is staking. So the base issuance has a finite total supply with a Bitcoin-like supply schedule, where the block rewards are halved every 4 years until reaching zero. All base issuance goes to miners, incentivizing them to keep securing the Nervos network. On the other hand, the secondary issuance is constant and without a supply cap. One of its functions is delivering state rent, a cost to store data on-chain to miners, guaranteeing the network's long-term security by making it less dependent on transaction demand. So actually, I'm sorry for confusing you. So it's actually two different lanes. They're actually both CKB. It's just two different lanes of earning CKB. It's a very, very interesting way of going about it. So let's read a little bit more about that. So the secondary issuance of CKB through staking ensures that state occupants or users that store assets on the blockchain keep paying for the blockchain's long-term security through recurring state rent or inflation tax given to miners. However, to ensure that protocol doesn't unjustly tax CKB coins that aren't used to store state, these coins can be locked into a particular contract dubbed Nervos DAO to receive secondary issuance to compensate for the otherwise unfair dilution. So it's their way of essentially, they're kind of allocating what's a portion of CKB, what is always going to be mined, right? And then over time, CKB is given to those at a constant rate. It's not something that adjusts to the inflation of CKB. It's constant, so that as CKB is being mined, that staking reward eventually becomes worth less because also you have the mining, there's more coins that are being added. So it's a way to almost kind of just balance out what you're earning in mining, and then earning staking. In the beginning, it's a lot more to earn staking, but over time it kind of evens out along with the mining. That's kind of the idea. So aligning all stakeholder incentives with allows CKB to grow its intrinsic value as a preservation-focused layer 1 blockchain for a modular network by harnessing its network effects. And it also produces a more cohesive ecosystem and makes the system less prone to governance challenges. When you stake, you have to lock up your tokens. That is how they go about it. And I believe it's once a month, every cycle. So, you will not be able to access your CKB when you stake it. It's not like other types of protocols like Cardano, where you can just, delegate and then just take it out whenever you want. So any questions about the tokenomics on CKB? So are you addressing that as a Xeno holder earning Nervos? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, and this is not something that's finalized, although this is something we're trying to develop with Xeno, right? So we want to eventually get to a point where we can develop the infrastructure with the NFTs where you can choose your payout, right? Either you choose it all, let's say, in Ethereum, all in one, or you want to, get it in wrapped Bitcoin or you want to earn the individual coins, right? So if that's the case, if you earn the individual coins, then yes, into your wallet, you'd be able to actually say, okay, I want to delegate this to the staking pool, right? My own staking pool, right? And it's per wallet basis. So whatever is in your Neuron wallet, which is the official wallet for Nervos, you can say, all right, let's stake it. And so I'll even earn more CKB as well as receiving the rewards from mining, right? And you would just have to do it in batches. So every time every month, there's like sort of like a cool off period where you can either decide you want to add to the Nervos DAO and continue, increasing your staking rewards, or if you want to pull out and you want to take that and sell it or whatever. So, but yes, you would absolutely have that freedom to do that. Does that answer your question? Absolutely. Right. I think Nervos is here definitely for the long haul. It's got a lot of potential, like as I've said many times before, and I'm certainly interested in doing that myself. So I've tried all of these aspects of Nervos, and it's great. It works really well. Uh, Thank you for your question. Do we have any other questions? What have you missed disconnected? I think you missed quite a bit. Not to worry though. This is recorded lesson. So if you have a Xeno mining NFT, which you do, you can absolutely access it in the tutorial section, which I'll link to when this is finished uploading and all that good stuff. My favorite one would be KuCoin, but you can absolutely look on like Coin Market Cap or a Deck Screener or something like that. And if you want to find where to find CKB, you can definitely find it there. I'm not sure if they're on Coinbase. Maybe, I'm not sure. But they're definitely on Binance. You got it. All right. So in summary, tokenomic design ensures CKB miners are securing the blockchain, are compensated under all circumstances. That is priority number one, right? Nervos blockchain does not work without its security, so we need to prioritize miners. Users using the blockchain solely for payments pay for its security via transaction fees. Okay, and users using it as a store of value and occupy its state pay for security via the inflation tax or state rent extracted from them via secondary issuance. And long-term token holders are protected from unfair token dilution via Nervos DAO contract, which serves as an inflation shelter. So again, if you're looking at Nervos as a long-term hold, which a lot of us, in Xeno are, then you want to also, or you absolutely want to take your Nervos and stake it, right? If you don't intend on selling it anytime soon, stake it for a month at least at a time and revisit every month. Is this a time where I might want to pull out or just keep holding on to it? Thank you, Radibs, for looking into Coinbase. Yes, I figured Coinbase doesn't have them. They're very, very selective, and it's only a matter of time, in my opinion, before they do get CKB. Let's keep going. Let's talk about our summary in total. So, Nervos blockchain is a decentralized open source platform designed to address the scalability and interoperability challenges faced by traditional blockchains. That's very much what it is. Okay, it's designed for interoperability. It combines a unique two-layer architecture comprising the layer 1 blockchain known as the common knowledge base and the layer 2 scaling solution. So remember, CKB, that's the RISC-V instruction set. So it's just the sort of the language, the Rosetta Stone of all these other different types of rollups. Okay, so you get a Cardano rollup, you get an Ethereum rollup, you get any of these kinds of other types of layer 2 solutions, right? They say, okay, let's talk to Nervos, right? So they make the roll up, it gets attached as a layer 2, and then CKB layer 1 transfers that information from layer 2 to another layer 2, okay? So that all of these other layer 2s are able to communicate with each other. Anything below that, like a layer 3, would be like application specific, right? Which would reside within the layer 2. So CKB provides a secure and robust foundation for storing and validating transactions, while the layer 2 solutions enable that high throughput and scalability by leveraging off-chain techniques. And Nervos aims to create a universal sustainable ecosystem by enabling seamless asset transfer, decentralized applications development, and fostering collaboration between different blockchain networks. Okay, so Zeno is still not available for staking yet. We're hoping we get something by the end of this month. If not, we will be, of course, keeping you guys in the loop. Last I heard, we were on path to making something available end of this month. So, yes, any other questions? Have you learned something new about Nervos today? Is this something that's all old news? Are you excited more about Nervos now? Well, let's hear it. Have a little discussion. Don't jump all at once now. That's okay. Yes. My understanding is, I think it's Yo Swap or Yak Swap, something like that. They've got a Dex. I think there are a couple of projects that are building just on the DeFi side of things. I am personally not as involved in DeFi as I used to be. Most of my efforts just go into mining at this point. But I've experimented a little bit with some of Nervos' stuff, and it works just the same as I think any of the other ones that we've maybe had experience with. I've certainly felt that CKB was pretty stable. I've never had a problem with it. So I'm pretty excited for what the future of CKB can provide. I think we need more roll-ups, more state channels, more of these sort of side chains to be communicating with CKB, because I think a lot of what Nervos is doing, even though it can develop dApps on its own ecosystem, I think Nervos's real value is more as a cross-chain bridge. So I want to see Nervos be able to tie things, going from Phantom to, Binance, Binance to Cardano. And really, that's the thing, right? Languages that have different coding. Okay, I want to see somebody who can take Haskell and merge that with Solidity. And I've been asking this in many, many different chains for a long time. And people always give me the same answer. They say, it's too difficult. I say, well, that's the point. It is very difficult. But we need it. So my hype for Nervos is not really as to what's on it on a DeFi, sort of layer. I'm more concerned of, can it translate as it's promising, the harder tokens or the harder programming languages to be able to be interoperable. Absolutely. I love Cadena too, right? But Cadena, I think I even addressed this to one of the developers on Cadena, and I said, hey, can we get, Cadena uses Pact as its coding language, and it's actually a very similar to Plutus, which is Cardano. It's all Haskell code, but they do it in their own way. And I said, okay, well, can we have Cadena at least talk to Cardano? And they're like, that's hard. And I said, what the hell, man? You know, and I'm not trying to be a Cardano shill boy. I'm using it as an example because Cardano is definitely one of the harder languages in the crypto space. So if we can get that, you know, then we're talking like a real big game changer for everybody. But yes, I 100% agree. Any other questions? Yep. 100%. And we can only grow if we have a conversation. So I'm there with you, buddy. Is it smart to accumulate CKB? I see it offered on Uphold. I personally mine CKB. Again, I would always say put your money where your mouth is if you really believe in something for the future. So I'm not here to try and sell you on Nervos in that sense. I'm trying to educate you on what Nervos can do. So whether or not you choose to invest in CKB, that is your choice. I personally do. I see a lot of potential for this space. I think nobody has cracked the code on how to really talk to other blockchains very, very simply. And Nervos is one of those sort of horses in the race that are competing for interoperability, and I'm rooting for it. Okay, I think proof of work at the core of all blockchain is paramount. I think it's the only way that we can really provide a decentralized, secure database. But at that same token, it is one of the hardest to scale. So because of this layer 2 architecture with combined layer 1, CKB has a lot of potential for growth in that case. I feel very similarly about other proof of work coins like Cadena. And Bitcoin has a lot of push behind it, but Bitcoin is the oldest one. So we need a lot of work to be done on Bitcoin for it to be really adopted in mass. Any comments? Yeah. Yeah. If you decide to accumulate CKB and you want to hold on to it, it would be ideal for you to stake it if you're not planning on flipping it or selling it, and earn more CKB. Because if you just buy CKB and you don't do anything with it, you're at the mercy of its inflation. So that staking parameter is there for you to sort of shelter from that. I would recommend using their own wallet. It's called Neuron, and it's also, if you have a ledger, it's accessible via Ledger. So it's a great wallet. It's the most sort of open source wallet for Nervos. Okay, Neuron, recommend it. And inside Neuron, there is a section that says Nervos DAO, and in that portion, you can take whatever's in your wallet and then delegate and stake that. It's actually it's a very simple process. You got it. Yeah. Any other questions? Oh, Radabs just gave it 0.0032. And I'm assuming that's dollars. Yeah, great. Yeah, US dollars. 0.0032. Yeah, you could stack up quite a bit of Nervos with that price. We're in the bear market, guys. This is if you want to get in now, that's kind of the best time to do it. So, yeah, I think I've seen this price at least, I don't know, 10x from where it is right now. I have to look up now, look it on my phone, but let me see here. All right, Nervos. 0.68 all-time high. Wow, that's a huge difference. 0.68. I mean, that's a 100x from this point. Oh, 0.0068. Oh, Jesus Christ. Jeez, I was like, what the hell? Yeah, no, yeah, 0.068. Yep. Wait. Yeah, no, hold on. No, sir, I believe you're incorrect. The one I'm looking at is CoinMarketCap. It's at 0.03. 0.03 was its all-time high. So it's at 0.003, so it's about a 10x from here. Not a bad return if we get to all-time highs again. But I think, again, this all really depends on whether or not Nervos kind of beats everybody to the punch, right? If we're talking about a chain for interoperability, I mean, this is still, high risk. We're hoping that Nervos is strong enough in its marketing capabilities and its adoption methods to being able to get to a point where it can beat the competition. So we still don't have a clear answer for that. SSJ Ryu, yes, this is all being recorded, sir. You will be able to pick up on this in the tutorial section here on the Discord. All right, you got it. Any other questions or comments? Well, how about this? Because I mine for a residential home. Okay, so I'll tell you right now. I have two. What do they call them? CK boxes from Gold Shell, right? The small little ones. I earn roughly about 280 CKB per day on that. So, you get that, I don't know, you want to, increase that amount. I mean, that really all depends on the mining hardware that you have. It all depends on, what kind of equipment you want. I would say the better thing to think about is how much can you afford to operate with. And that also depends on how much you are willing to devote your strategy to mining just Nervos. So I want you to think about, and if you want to go through our lessons on what it would take to mine, right? You could take the electrical costs and take the wattage and turn that into amps, see how much amps you're pulling, and calculate all that kind of stuff. But it's in my opinion, if I were to be building a mining farm, I would definitely allocate somewhere in the vicinity around 15, maybe even 20% if I'm really bullish on CKB for my portfolio. I hope that's a better answer for you. You got it. Any other questions or comments? Mike D is typing. Yes, Nervos is a part of the mining split through Zeno. Yep, we are mining Bitcoin, Litecoin, and merge mining with Doge with Litecoin. We're mining CKB, and we're mining Cadena. And so, yes, I plan on talking about these different coins. So today was Nervos. I believe next week I plan on doing Bitcoin, then Cadena, and Litecoin in the end. Unless we have an overwhelming difference of opinion from you guys. Does anybody want to talk about anything else next week? The ones that we're talking about here in terms of the ones we're mining. Total noob, no opinions, just here to learn. Disconnected is very nervous. Thanks, Suicidal. At this point, I think it's safe to stop the recording. So I will do that.